All right, welcome to another episode of The Locker Room. All right, now let's go to the last team that made it up here. Nottingham Forest. Okay, let's take a look at their squad. What do they have? Being coached by Steve Cooper. Goaltenders Hennessy. A lot of people know Hennessy. But the big surprise signing on this offseason, Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson is one of those guys that's set to be the number one for England soon, and is always fighting for that number one spot. Even at Manchester United, before they let him go, was thought to be the replacement for De Gea. But things didn't play out that way. Some inconvenient situations for Henderson prohibited him from actually making the start that he was supposed to be making, which gave De Gea the window to make his comeback, and he did. And De Gea didn't let down.
Yeah, man.
So in a situation like that, I know Dean Henderson was very upset about the whole scenario because last season was supposed to be the season that he made that step up to the number one instead of the number two. It didn't happen. That window passed him, and Manchester decided to go ahead and let him go this offseason, and he felt very disrespected, and he felt like they lied to him and they didn't give him the opportunities they promised they would. Right? Obviously, he's very disgruntled. He has something to prove now. So we're going to see how that works out. In my opinion, two very, very good goaltenders on this team. Hennessy, I think, is how old is he? He is 35, so he's reaching the end of his career, in my opinion. Even though he's still competing, I just think that it's one of those things that maybe it's time for him to step down, maybe a Dean Henderson to take his spot.
Right.
What do you think about their goaltending situation?
Well, Dean Henderson is definitely going to bring him. Well, in theory, he should have brought them a little bit more ease and control in the back. Mm-hmm. He's a very vocal goalkeeper. He definitely likes to let his defenders know where they need to be in order for him to do what he needs to do. Mm-hmm. It hasn't translated too well with his team. I'm not too sure if it's because of the quality of the team. I'm not sure if it's because maybe this team was kind of put together really quickly for the Prem. I hope he does well. Mm-hmm. I know he's still on loan, so he should be back at Man U at some point. Maybe, who knows?
No, he is on loan there. I mean, he's only 25.
My problem with Dean Henderson is that he's getting paid way too much in the club, Man U. So I feel like that's a good reason why he hasn't been able to move on from the club and find a club maybe where he can settle as their number one. The fact that he's on such high wages. And that's really more to do with Manchester United as the way they were run, thanks to horrible ownership. But that price tag just really hasn't allowed him the opportunity to move and grow. He did really well in that loan spell with Sheffield United a few seasons back, and he really impressed. He kept them up. That's pretty much why that team stayed where they were.
Yep. And he did really well on the national team as well, which is why they were so.
He did very well too when he was covering for De Gea. Towards the end of 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, he looked like the stronger of the two goalies at that point. And
some people believe, man, if he would have played that final against Villarreal, we would have won. So I can see that being a thing. He's a much better penalty stopper, but
Yep. No, for sure. All right, let's move it.
Changing goalkeepers, man, is a very scary thing to do.
Yeah, the type of goalkeeper you bring in definitely plays a role. How your back four player or back three, depending on what style and system you play. So let's take a look at the defenders. I mean, a lot of big names that came from somewhere else, right? You look at a Boly. I believe he was with the Wolves a season or two ago. Mm-hmm. You look at Aurier, who was with the Spurs.
Yeah.
He was with the Spurs. You know, those are two guys that you bring in to really, really like solidify your back four. And right now, it hasn't turned out that way. They've been struggling mightily, and you can say, you know, it's still young. It's still an early part of the season. Maybe once they start gelling with the other players, because obviously they both play for the Ivory Coast national team, so right. they both have their chemistry, which is nice. But you know, you bring in Steve Cook. Sorry, I don't know why I said Steven, but Steve Cook, right? And you want them to mix in with the other guy as well, but sometimes that doesn't just happen right away. Like you said, it was kind of like you brought in these players, maybe they're just not gelling right. You have a new goaltender; he may have a different opinion on how they want them to play. I think that in order for them to improve this their defense, they're going to have to really have a better structure that incorporates the goaltender, the goaltender's vocal leadership, along with the defensive vocal leadership. It's going to have to be one of those.
Yeah, 100%. They definitely need to be a little bit more solid in the back. But you know, it all starts in the midfield, man. To be solid in the back, you have to have a strong midfield, and I feel like that's really where they need to kind of focus on the most.
Well, I mean, the midfield isn't horrendous. It isn't top end Premier League midfield, but I mean, Kouyate.
Structure as a team is what I feel like that's the problem that they've had so far. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of the Premier League players that they brought into the club this year, I feel like they have been in clubs that have solidified themselves as Premier League clubs. And when you have a lot of young kids coming in from the Championship, it's a different way of playing, different way of communicating, and that's where they need to kind of like gel in there, you know.
Yeah.
Very surprised that Jesse Lingard made it to Nottingham Forest.
I'm surprised he ended up on that team. I honestly thought he was going to end up on West Ham. I was
ended there, to be honest with you.
What happened?
I would have hoped that he would have ended there.
I did too. I think West Ham's system and the complementary players they have there for him. I think he was a great fit when he was on loan there, which is why Manchester United kept him last season. I think that for Jesse, he's I believe he's like 29 now. You're now no longer a kid in the league. You're supposed to be doing a little bit more. This is your chance, and I think that honestly, Lingard, Kouyate, and even like Colback, I think like they're gonna be the ones that have to really help with that midfield. Cafu is in there as well. You know, they have decent potential to be a good mid-table team with the midfield they have. They just need to get it together, right, and decide what style of play they're going to play. Because, like we were saying, a lot of these guys you bring in, they were part of another system, a different system. So they come into a team that just got promoted. Their system might not be the same as theirs, but if you have weak management, weak coaching that can't tell you, hey, this is what I need you to do, this is what I brought you in for, this is how you need to play, I think that's where the translation gets lost, and that's where you have a waste of talent. And in my opinion right now, they have a huge waste of talent with their midfield and their back end so far. Because they have potential to be a threatening team, but they're just not playing it. They're just not playing like it at all. You know, and it's kind of sad. Like I said, Jesse Lingard is in my opinion, I would say a B grade when he's playing at his best, a B grade type of player. You know, he can give you those exciting moments. He can help with that stuff, but if you're not utilizing him right, he's not going to give you anything, right? Manchester United has proven that time and time again with Jesse. When Jesse played in particular positions through different coaches, through different systems that they were running, it just didn't work out for them. right? It didn't work out. He gets lost in the field. He doesn't bring anything. It was when he plays that cam position where he has, the vision of the midfield and helping the attack where he is deadliest, right? And if you're not playing him there and your system doesn't have that opportunity for him, he's a wasted signing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Kouyate, he's one of those very unique defending midfielders. He's really good with the ball. He can defend well. He can break the ball out. Control a lot of the game through him, right? But he needs help. If he's the only one with the ball, a good team, like most of the good teams in the Premier League, are just gonna bury down, lock him down, and there goes your entire midfield game, which looks to be what's been happening with them, where you take him out of the game and that's it. There's nothing after that. The defense is still trying to find their way, and without him helping them, it's just not going to work. Right?
I feel like this team just needs that one last jigsaw puzzle piece, just to kind of get them working.
And it may not be a player. It may be a coach.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sadly, a lot of these newer coaches, they're not household names. But you know what, man? That's how new legends have to start. So,
yeah.
Let's see how that goes.
I mean, as attackers go, nothing that yells out to you like, oh my God, I know Surridge has been around for a bit. How you call it?
Pretty much it,
they're looking at some of these other guys to provide a spark. I just don't think they have it. I think they probably would have a better chance bringing Lingard up towards the front, playing a false 9 and attacking from like a winger position. That might be your best bet with the, because you don't have great quality in the attackers to really compete with the top level defenders that you have in the Premier League, in my opinion. Right? So I would say, play Jesse Lingard at a false 9 and have your wingers really do work from the front, from the wings, bringing the ball in, and then again, Lingard is good in that position as a false 9. He's good right there. If you want to get one of these attackers out there, get him out there.
Lineup is or no?
Let's see. Let's go to one of their fixtures. Let's go. All right, we can do this. Let's take a look at their last setup. Okay, so they're playing a 3-4-3. Yeah, I'm sorry to say, Lingard's not that great coming off the wing, coming in like
he's
this.
Not the left. I don't think he's a left winger, to be honest with you. He did his best work coming from the right when he was with West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would move him here. Put Jesse right behind them. Even if you want to keep this defensive structure, just put Jesse right behind those guys. I think that he'll facilitate the ball better. He'll be more of a difference maker if he was behind the strikers and not on the side of the strikers.
Right.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. They get mad at coaches, they get mad at players, but yeah, you should get mad at coaches because they need to learn how to utilize the players and the player's style. Like when you get a player, know where he's good and what he can do. Playing Jesse Lingard here, you don't know what you're doing with that player.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. Right.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with you on that. My other critique with this team too at the moment is, if you look at the wings, at the left and the right, they have Lodi and they have Williams. They're great players, but I think you need to have maybe more of like a full wing back. Somebody that's more of a defensive minded player that can move forward, but then can come back to help and recover the ball. Because anytime I see a 3-4-3 going up against a team that's 4-3-3 or 4-4-2, I just don't feel like it gives you that solid defense that you need.
Yeah.
Unless you're using defenders as your wingers.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not even playing Boly. Is he coming off an injury or something? Let me take a look. What's going on with him?
He's up there in age too.
Let's take a look here. He is 31, right? But see, he brings that physicality, and he's not slow.
No,
He's not slow at all, by no means. You know, he hasn't played. And I mean, if you're sitting him and not playing him, out of most of this, out of your defense, he's one of the guys that has the most Premier League experience.
yes.
Why are you benching him? Let him be your general out there. You know, I just think that they're making a mistake by not playing him, in my opinion.
I mean, they're not even playing. Also, like, can you go back down? They didn't even play. What's his name? Serge Aurier. Was he injured?
He's not even in the line. No, wait, hold on. Yeah, he's not even in the lineup. Maybe he wasn't ready. Maybe he's waiting for some of his paperwork to clear. I don't know. It's kind of weird. He's not even on here as an injury.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's more to that. I'll try to find out more for the next show. What's going on with him? But yeah, I mean, that's one of those situations. I mean, they're not fully playing the way they should be playing with the talent that they have, right?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah.
And I'm not sitting here saying that they're a top end team. I'm not sitting here saying that. I'd be lying to you if I did. I'm sitting here saying that, hey, they can be doing much better in maybe a different formation where guys do a little bit more.
Yeah, I think they're a much better team than a team that has lost 4 on the rebound.
So
like, I just don't think that they should have lost 4 on the rebound like that. I think they're a much better team than that. Maybe it's a little biased of me, though. Of course, I actually do like this club. They have a lot of great history.
Mm-hmm.
With Brian Clough and their legendary ascension from the championship to what was then called Division 1 back in the 80s, and then winning the Champions League after that. It's a great team, has done great, a lot of history. I would like to see them become a solid Premier League club for the next decade. I think it would be great.
Yep. This is also one of those teams that have a few of these guys that we've mentioned are there on loan.
Yes.
But they need to solidify themselves as having a good structure and being a team that's not going to get relegated. Otherwise, they're never going to attract better names to solidify themselves further or be more competitive. They just need to do it. And again, I think he's on the older end, but he has decent history with the club where he can put goals in, he can make a difference. Taylor's one of those guys that they need to look for leadership up front. I think Surridge is as well. Surridge is 24, but he's been with them for a little bit. He's another one of those guys that's important to how they attack offensively. So it's going to be interesting to see what the coach does at this point of the season as far as attackers. Anybody you want to point out that might be an interesting look at when it comes to the forwards?
No, not really.
Yeah, again,
it's a forward line, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to the forward line. It's a struggle. I think again,
that's a general thing that has been happening within the sport. Like, I feel the last 2 years there haven't been that many great forward lines.
So could it be? Can you say that maybe it isn't that there's a lack of good forwards, but better, richer, quantity of defensive players? Because there have been some defensive studs that have appeared out of nowhere.
That they have. I feel like there's definitely has been a growth in that. I mean, maybe it's also the fact that there hasn't been that next generation strikers that have solidified themselves. I mean, yes, you have your Erling Haalands, you have your Kylian Mbappes. Yes, I understand that, but it's like I feel like the next generation of strikers is still
They're still developing.
exactly because you still see a lot of clubs, man. They're still depending on guys that have been playing for 10 years or so. I mean, look at us as an example. We're still depending on somewhat to an extent with Ronaldo, but.
He's talking about Manchester United. Yes, we are both Manchester United fans. It's in our heart. We love them. I gotta agree with you on that one, but we'll touch more on Ronaldo and Manchester United when we talk about the top 5 shortly. So, in the next show or so. But I mean, for me, I think midfielders, key players, it's definitely going to be Kouyate and Lingard. They're going to be the vital part. Kouyate more, not even for his offense, because he can score, he can do those things, but his defensive structure, and Jesse Lingard on the basis of finding that next gear that he found when he was at West Ham. And again, I just think that it's bad use of players, putting him like on a wing spot. He does not thrive on the wing. I think you need to understand that as a coach, right? And maybe even as a player, where you bring it up to the coach. He's not a good, he's not a good striker. He's not a good winger. He's a 100% a 10. He's a cam. That's where he does his best work.
Yeah.
He can give you a little bit of everything, whether it's passing, whether it's scoring, creativity, on and off the ball. I just think that if you don't use him right, your whole midfield is going to be up in question.
You could definitely use him as an 8 too, but I feel like you could use Lingard as an 8 if he has a strong 6 next to him.
Yeah.
Somebody that can be that sweeper, that defensive wall. But
right.
You said, either a 10 or an 8. Like that's
it. First of all, one of the things that he used to bring was his speed. Like I said before, with other players, once you start reaching a certain age, you start losing your speed, right? And at this point, I don't think he has that speed that he once held. And he's still a very impactful player, but he needs to be in the right place to be able to use his skill set. And his skill set no longer revolves around speed. His skill set literally is just, controlling the ball, controlling the play, and, controlling the attack. Like being that guy in the middle behind a striker or behind 2 strikers. But you can't expect him to do something on the wing. That's just not his strong suit anymore.
No.
Defense.
He's had great moments coming from him, but
yeah, I think those days are far gone. And that's no disrespect to him as a player. No. It's just that as people get older,
he has a lot of years ahead of him, but
it's just not at the wing.
He has to play according to where he is.
Mm-hmm. Going into their defense again, crucial players, Aurier and Boly. I think you have to start getting them reps. You got to get them in there. They need to be a crucial part of your defense. If you're not doing it, I'm sorry to say, but these other guys, right? And that's no disrespect to them. Sorry, McKenna. Sorry, Cook. If you don't get these guys involved in your defense, you're going to struggle mightily. These guys have the experience of being on good teams in the Premier League. They know, they know what's necessary. They can bring what's needed. They can bring that leadership. And then you add them with, with the likes of Dean Henderson. Then you're looking at something. But right now, the way you guys have that set up where it's like 3-4-3, I don't like it. I don't like that.
Again, especially with people like Lodi and Williams, they're not really defenders, man. They're midfielders.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you want to use them as a midfielder defense thing. They're just not that. Lodi, maybe he kind of got away with that a few seasons back, but again, this is the Prem. You can't play the way you would play in other countries.
I just think if you're not utilizing these 2 players, you're not in a good place to literally be effective as a team. It's just not going to work. So hopefully Steve Cooper can get this team together, get on the right track. Like I said, I'll look into why Aurier wasn't even in the lineup. I don't know what's going on there, but we will look into that.